One at a time, and we'll get the job done. Y'all know what to say. On three. 1, 2, 3.
And the home of the Jets.
Good evening, everybody. March 31st. Let's talk Jets on the day that Aaron Glenn met the media. Jets Central, what's up, man?
Dude, what's going on, man? Inching closer and closer to the NFL draft. Man, I cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's almost like there's too much information out there now. It's like you have analysis of the analysis of the analysis, and you add in smoke screens and rumors. Then you add all the fake stuff too, where it's just like people are trying to chase clicks and relikes and all this stuff. So it's interesting time. But before we go into the wide receiver evaluations, which I cannot wait for, I've been waiting for this all week, dude. I'm like, I want to see what Ian's going to bring to the table to help me address my big need for the New York Jets. But Aaron Glenn did meet the media today. And it's so funny. He started out, and right off the bat, I got like 40 texts. Bro, is he kidding me? Promised land. What are we doing? Same old Aaron Glenn. But if you look past the one comment about Geno taking to the promised land, I thought it was a really good interview, dude. I thought he came off humble. He came off sincere. He came off prepared. He gave a lot of good thoughts about the players that are coming in, the players that are here. I thought it was an interesting 40 minutes of interview for me.
You know, it was really cool, man. When the news first broke about him meeting with the media, I thought it was just going to be like 5 minutes.
Yep.
He's going on and on and on, talking about Mason Taylor, the defensive scheme, Geno, the draft approach. I thought he actually had a really good quote with or from Sean Payton about the draft, which is just, if you love the player, take the player. Don't overthink it.
Keyword, love. If you love the player.
Maybe hinting at something.
Could you imagine? He thinks Jeremiah Lovett too. I'd probably be the only Jet fan that was happy. I'd be the only one, but I wouldn't care.
You know, in all honesty, I think if the Jets just would have straight up let Breece walk, or they traded him at the deadline, you can make a legitimate argument that the Jets could have been in a position like the Giants were a couple years ago, where they just said, screw it, we're going to take Barkley too. But because Breece is back, because there's just so much buzz with an extension, I just don't really feel like it makes sense. And also, too, Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis are two young players with upsides, and they're cheap and controllable.
Oh, no. If Breece was traded, this would be called Let's Talk Jeremiah Love for 3 months. I would have drove you absolutely insane. I would have bought you his jersey, probably a hat. I would have given you everything for him, because that's from that. But not the case. So again, I'm not overreacting to today's press conference. I thought it was a lot of coach speak, a lot of good. Right now, a lot of Jet fans hate him. They want him fired last year. They think he's going to get fired halfway through this year. Completely understand it. I don't care at this point. Like, just win games. Like, I don't like, he could talk to his blue in the face with speeches and motivational stuff. Don't care at all. Win football games. So no overreactions here from me, man.
Yeah, like I said, I thought it was a good interview. It was lengthy, which is really cool. I don't know if you caught the Eric Allen interview. Darren Muji sat down with Eric, like, individually, and then Aaron Glenn. Or I think it was flipped. I think Aaron Glenn met with him first. Regardless, it was like a 20-minute video. If you guys have time, if you haven't checked it out, definitely pop it on. I always prefer those types of interviews over like the press conference, where it's just like, big picture question after big picture question, just over and over and over. And like, the coaches don't really, coaches and general managers, this goes for every team. Like, that they don't really want to dive into like, actual specifics when meeting with like the media and like big sessions, where there's like a typical scrum. But like in those individual kind of interviews, sit down interviews with Eric Allen, like, you just feel like it's a lot more personable and or a lot more personal. Like, they just kind of dive into more details,
more relaxed.
More relaxed. And you can tell that there's not this media trained, there's
no agenda, no narrative. They're just talking ball.
Yeah. Like, if I say this, is it going to help out a different team? I don't want to create some sort of headline, just like, kind of what happened today, which is the whole the Geno
Promised
Smith
land.
promised land thing. But I mean, to be honest with you, man, like it's just we're at that time of year where I think everybody's just ready for the draft.
We are ready for the draft. And so now I think the consensus amongst all Jet fans is at pick number 2, we're going to go defense. Whether it's Bailey, Reese, Bain, whoever it is, we're going defense, which to me said fine, completely understand it. Defensive heavy draft where that you have the best asset there, minus Jeremiah Lovell, they won't take. Fine with it. But you have an enormous hole, in my opinion, in the wide receiver room where we love Garrett Wilson, Isaiah Williams, okay. A.D. Mitchell, don't really know what he is. He's got to show a lot more before we say he's our 1A or a high 2. So you want to add another wide receiver. For me, it's going to be pick 16 or possibly trade up. That's where I'm at right now. If there's a guy there you want to go up to 10 and get him, I'm completely cool with it. But now they got to figure out who are these guys? Who are the top 10 receivers? Go ahead. You challenge me. I'm ready for you.
What about moving up? Let me real quick. Let me just shut this door. But what about moving up from 33? So you take Reese, Bailey, whoever at 2, you come back at 16, you maybe go BPA, and then you swing back up into the early 20s for a wide receiver.
No.
Let me shut this door.
And the reason why I'm saying no to this is I don't want to get too cute. I think at this point it's got to be a priority. The Jets have not made the wide receiver position a priority in 2 years now. Make it a priority this year because you want to have A, Geno Smith be successful, but B, you want to have your young quarterback be successful with legitimate playmakers. So again, the question will also be: we did our mock draft last week, and you're like, all right, look at all these wide receivers off the board. Now what are we going to do? So to me, it's that instead of sitting back and say, let's wait and 33 move up. No, let's go 16 and move up and get our guy. Let's get the best of our group in our eyes, as opposed to getting your 4th or 5th option. That's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, K-Dude mentioned this last night. Afram mentioned it. With this, with that. But I'm like, dude, we're at 16. It's 16 or above for me. I'm not moving back or kind of moving up in the second round.
Yeah, there's something to be said about just getting too cute. I mean, because we can all crank up the mock draft simulator and come up with the perfect mock, right? Where we're trading back and we have, 7 picks and they're all, 7 picks in the top 100. They're all coming in and they're all like handpicked. But, the problem is as soon as you start putting yourself in other teams' shoes, it just starts getting like a little weird, right? Because all teams are trying to do the same thing, acquire as many good players as possible without risking the future. Now, some teams are more willing to risk the future than others, but like you're taking a look across. I feel like you can make this argument for like 29 out of the 32 teams. Like if you just start going down the list, right? 5 Giants. Yeah, they could probably trade back. Cleveland Browns at 6. Yeah, they could probably trade back. Washington. Yeah, they could trade back. Saints, Chiefs, all these teams, they like you could argue, okay, if you have some like 2027 draft capital, on the table for a potential trade, like it does make sense in theory to just move back this year because there's just so many players that you kind of feel like are in a similar bucket as far as the grades are concerned. Like you kind of feel like you're going to be getting the same type of player at 16ish compared to like probably all the way through like 35. I would say like you don't really feel like it's one of these drafts where there's just tons of talent up at the top and then it's like a slow trickle off effect. It kind of feels like, for me, like 13, 14, like legitimate, you're a first round in every draft. And then after that, it's just like a bunch of high second round picks typically in every draft.
Well, it seems like this wide receiver class is all about your flavor. Pick your flavor and you can find your receiver. But there is no slam dunk wide receiver. Like, you know what? This guy is going to be the next Marvin Harrison Jr. or Jefferson or whatever. Like, it's like, oh, this guy is a really good slot, which would fit this offense. This guy's really good at this. There's no like, it seems like we'll see it tonight. There's no consensus. We're like, oh, these are the top 3 receivers, bar none. After this is a huge drop off. Everybody's even arguing about that. But before we go into it, because we had this argument last night. So when we argue, I want to get you involved because you're a good referee. So Afram last night asked to me, he goes, if all top receivers are gone, which is such a, what does that even mean? But I guess the top 3 or 4 wide receivers are gone, including Sadiq before 16. What do you do? And I'm like, I'm going corner. To me, it's like at that, if there's a big run on wide receivers and, Sadiq is gone, you figure the edges are going to be gone and probably Bain. To me, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have the top corner in the draft sitting there at 16. and I would take him then, because then you can't start reaching for your like sixth best wide receiver as opposed to your best corner on the board. That's where I would be at that point.
Yeah, and Glenn even kind of mentioned something to it today. I mean, every coach and every general manager is going to say this, but I forget the exact verbiage, but he basically said something along the lines of, we don't want to reach. We want to trust our board. You're not, these teams have their own board. They're not,
of course,
going off of McShay or whatever, Daniel Jeremiah's board. But speaking of here's an interesting twist. Okay, let me throw this at you. Actually, real quick, to answer your question, I would go corner. Now, if it's, McCoy's gone, Mansour Delane's gone, I don't know if I would go corner, right? Because I do feel like there's something to be said with just going straight up BPA. Like, I know, like, K-Dude's in the chat. He's a big fan of Dylan Thieneman. He's getting a ton of love.
Yep.
Daniel Jeremiah, I think, had him mocked super high. I think at 12 was the highest. I mean, that is just crazy to think about, but something that's starting to really pop up like this week, Caleb Downs being mocked outside the top 10. Lance Zierlein had a mock draft today. Where do you have Downs? Did you see?
Giants.
No, 16 to the Jets.
Caleb Downs at 16?
Lance Zierlein's newest mock. Daniel Jeremiah, I think, had him at 12 to
because of the injury.
Jeremiah had him outside the top 12 as well.
Because of health, because of the physical? Is that why?
I'm not saying it's like official, it's going to happen or anything. I'm just saying, like, some of the more recent mocks that have just came out, Downs is starting to maybe slide down a little bit. Who knows? It's smokescreen season, but
yeah, I can't see him there at 16. But the value at 16, like, I thought I can make an argument for him at freaking 2. If you really, we talked about this about a month ago. I'm like, you know what? If we have a really good free agent class, and you can make, but 16 be wild. So, but now we are going to talk wide receivers, my friend, because we need them. And now we have to argue about them as we want to rank our top 10 wide receivers. And the other thing I want to add with this too is the round you think they're going to go in too, because it gets really interesting where, somebody's saying, I think it was Afram last night, oh, you got to take Chris Brazzell in the first round. I'm like, he's not a first round wide receiver for me. So it's kind of like what you have them at and then what round you think they're going at.
Okay.
If you're okay with that rule.
Yes, but that I don't think is maybe indicative to the actual board that we're putting together. Like, I didn't come up. So I have my 10 names written down here,
right?
Like my personal top 10,
right?
I'm a little lower on a couple players than maybe the consensus is. Like, I could see someone go, like someone who I think should probably go in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think can maybe get scooped up in round 1.
Oh yeah, that's fair though. No, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
All right, so the number 1 wide receiver in this class is interesting because a lot of people say it's Jordan Tyson, but nobody's going to take him there because of the injury concern. And it seems like Carnell Tate has climbed the ladder and he's there for everybody where they think he's probably going to go to the Browns. Who do you have as like the best wide receiver in this class?
Okay, so you want to go from 1 to 10?
Yeah. Or you want to go 10 to 1? You want to do 10 to 1 instead? Make it more fun?
It's your show. It's your show. Whatever you want to do.
Now it's my show.
Okay, so first wide receiver on the board for me is Carnell Tate. I just feel like he is a very high floor, big-bodied guy, contested catches, production at Ohio State. I don't feel like he's going to come in and have almost like this diva mentality, throw me the ball. I don't foresee any sort of AJ Brown, George Pickens, Antonio Brown situation popping up with Carnell Tate. I mean, to be quite honest, like he was the wide receiver 2 this past season for the Buckeyes, and I personally think he excelled in that role. I mean, if you're talking about just seamless fit for tons of different, like he makes so much sense for, I mean, how, like I think Carnell Tate with the Chiefs, Carnell Tate with the Browns, Carnell Tate with the Saints, Washington, I also think makes a ton of sense for him. Just kind of throw it up, right? If you have a young quarterback, you feel like Carnell is someone who can provide, again, a high floor, a trustworthy target, one-on-one coverage. You can just whip it his way and he's probably going to come down with it. Red zone threat. Reminds me so much of T. Higgins. And I just feel like Carnell Tate possesses the least amount of questions with a pretty solid upside. I don't ever think he's going to be a top 10, like dynamic Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type of player, but I think he's going to give you consistency, durability, reliability at the position, and just someone who you can just slot right in. Like if you're an offensive coordinator, it doesn't really take a genius to look at a guy in Carnell Tate and say, how do we use this guy? Like it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Carnell Tate for me, number one.
No, I completely agree with you. You nailed it too. Blocker. He does a lot of really good things. And it's like, do you think he's like safe? Like you're taking him, like you said, like the ceiling may not be elite, but it's a safe where you're getting a sound, solid football player that's going to make plays for you, do all the right things, and be a big time contributor for your offense.
I do. I definitely think so. I mean, gosh, if the Jets, I mean, if we were at 5, man, I think he'd probably be the favorite for the pick. Like if the Jets and the Giants were just swapped, Giants were at 2, Jets were at 5, or whatever. Cleveland's at 2, and the Jets were at 6. So you're assuming some of the top pass rushers are gone. I think Carnell Tate would have been the selection for me personally.
Okay, so wide receiver number 2, who do you have?
Who do you got? Let's go back and forth here.
I got Mekhi Lemon. Actually,
okay.
But again, my caveat with this is Jordan Tyson, as great as he is, as a Jet fan, I'm already cynical, but the injuries for me is a problem. Where you look at where the Jets are at, the risk associated with him. He's got a hamstring injury now, dude. He didn't go to the can't even work out now. MetLife turf, all that. I just want a different player with a different resume of just health. That's my biggest caveat. And that you just dropped down for me. So I want the more known without that. What about if this? What about if that? I want to remove all that. So love the player, just can't do it for the Jets. And that's just my own. And again, I get it. Like everybody say you're out of your mind, whatever else. But it's that when healthy. Well, he has been healthy 3 years, right? That's the problem.
Yeah, well, really 4, because he got hurt that first, or going way back, ACL, MCL, PCL, missed the whole next season, comes back, broken collarbone, missed games there, comes back the next season. This past year, had the hamstring that kept him out for a couple games, didn't participate in the combine. It's kind of a fun game to play because I think if Jordan Tyson was healthy, like 100% healthy, and there were no injury concerns, and you can maybe look at like the Jermon McCoy situation and say like, okay, well, why are you high on McCoy, but you're dinging Jordan Tyson for, his injuries? Why not McCoy for the ACL? McCoy that's it. Like it was an ACL tear. ACL tears happen. That's it. Pretty much. There hasn't been any durability concerns from coaches. Nothing that's popped up. Even back at Oregon State, he played, a lot there at 18 years old. It was just a simple, hey, he missed the entire season. I mean, we've seen that, right? Derek Stingley missed time before, Jamar Chase, even though I think that was, I don't know the exact situation that happened with Jamar, but with Tyson, you just kind of feel like if you throw out the word durability, I can't 100% without a doubt say he's going to be reliable, he's going to be durable, we can count on him, because the fact is he hasn't been able to finish a full college football season. It's not his fault. Things are unfortunate, right? Some of this stuff could just all be bad luck, and Jordan Tyson can hit the NFL and play 17 games from here on out every single year. But the thing is with Tyson, for me at least, it just kind of feels like, would you take, because I feel this could be laughed at, right? But Justin Jefferson coming out of LSU, he wasn't this high-end top 5 pick lock, generational type of guy. He went in the 20s to Minnesota. There were teams in front of him that selected wide receivers over Justin Jefferson. I think there are some similarities with the play, right? He can hurt teams deep down the field, intermediate, and in the short game. And so it's like, dude, if you think this is Justin Jefferson, you got to take him. But what happens if Justin Jefferson only plays 8-9 games a season? That's it. And if he continues to get hurt in the NFL, does he still provide? Is he how should I word it? Is he going to still be the same player when healthy after each injury, assuming, he can't stay healthy? I think it comes back to just the amount of games. If he can't finish a college season, 12, 13, throw in the playoffs and whatnot, championship game, how can we expect him to go to the NFL where hits are harder, defensive linemen are bigger, stronger, faster, we're going to put a bigger workload on you because if you're a first round pick, like we're going to be throwing the football your way. And chances are he's probably going to be going to a bad team up towards the top of the draft if he's selected that high. Projecting that, okay, now we're counting on you to play 17 games and be 100% healthy for the playoffs. So I do feel like you kind of have to take into consideration the whole health situation with Tyson.
No, 100%, dude. And it's like, and what you're expecting out of him too with the Jets is we need a legitimate big time playmaker to play opposite of Garrett Wilson, a guy that can help build your offense around, help your young quarterback, all of that. If you're playing 7 games a year, you're not helping anybody, man. And now you're creating another hole where you're going to go another wide receiver. It's like I respect the player, respect the talent, understand every facet of it. For me, if I'm Darren Muji, which thank God I'm not, I'm like, you know what? If he falls to 16, it gets really interesting. But I'm not sure that if he's falling that far, it's for a reason. That means everybody's thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, right? Because it's like, it's 16, that could that could be great value. But then you have to ask the counter question, why is he here? Exactly. He's obviously freaking out teams, and because there's 100%. A lot of teams, dude, that need wide receivers, man. Miami, Kansas City, New Orleans, Washington, Cleveland. Like, there's a lot of teams. If they all look at Tyson, they're like, we're gonna pass. But I don't know. I mean, if Tyson's healthy, he's a great player, and there's a chance that if Tyson is the pick at spot number 16. And quick side note too, man, because the Jets have extra picks, I don't feel like if they want to take a swing with Tyson, I don't feel like it's going to be as, catastrophic if he does miss time, because we have 2, 33, and 4. It's not like, this is our lone pick in the top 50 players. You know what I mean? You
can respect it. If they took him, you can respect it, and you know why, but you understand just calculate a risk with it as well. Now, Lemon, who do you have as your number 2? Is it Tyson?
Lemon,
or is it Lemon?
Yeah. No,
Lemon. Now, with Lemon, it's interesting. I saw the one comment from Javed, which is really good because he's like, he's your slot. And that's what he's known for. He's physical. He's dynamic. He's all these different things. But it's like, is he, the way he plays the game and where you play him, is it actually a hindrance to your offense if you want to use Garrett Wilson in a lot of other areas? Because he's I'm not saying he's a one-trick pony, but that's kind of, you want him in the slot. He's not an outside guy, really. Does that kind of hinder you? Does that limit you? Say, you know what? Do we want more of an outside guy instead of a slot guy? Like, what would be your vision for the Jets? Do you see Lemon being a good fit, or would you go in a different direction?
Yeah, I do think. I mean, I do think at the end of the day, man, like these coaches are, literally paid millions of dollars to figure this stuff out. I just don't know how, as an offensive mind, you can walk into a room with Garrett Wilson, Adonai Mitchell, and Mekhi Lemon and say, I have no idea how to do anything with this group. I understand your question about trying to maximize the type, but I mean, dude, if I'm the New York Jets, man, like we've struggled to score points. We've struggled offensively. We've struggled at the quarterback position. We've struggled to win games. I'm not looking at super talented players, guys that have been ultra productive at college, and saying, you know what, I'll pass because I don't think we know how to use you. Like that to me is just not an excuse. Acquire talent, man. The Jets need talent. Bring these guys in. Mekhi Lemon is kind of weird because he's not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy, but he's just so polished. He's so savvy when it comes to route running, getting open, sitting in zone coverage. He's tough. He has really good hands, reliable, can shred defenses over the middle of the field. One comparison I always see with Mekhi Lemon is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't want to go that high. I don't know if it's the whole like slot receiver from USC type of thing, but if you look at who Aaron Glenn actually talked about today, Seth Ryan, he's coming in from Detroit. So although I don't think Mekhi Lemon is Amon-Ra St. Brown, because I mean, we're talking about like a top 5, like we're talking about an elite receiver here, right? I don't want to put those expectations on Mekhi Lemon because, if Amon-Ra St. Brown, knowing what we know is in this class, he'd be a top 5 pick.
100%. So
even though I don't think he's up to that caliber, if you want to use him in a similar role where Seth Ryan has experience, like, watching Ben Johnson call in and run an offense, running through Amon-Ra St. Brown, doing the creative things where you're stacking him behind a wide receiver. Hopefully the audio didn't mess up there. I just pulled the cord, but
you're good.
Like Amon-Ra St. Brown has so much success literally lining up behind a wide receiver and then having him break as that secondary breaker, where he doesn't have to maybe take on like the physical press coverage up the line of scrimmage. Like you're really just scheming him open. I don't think Mekhi Lemon has to be schemed open, but I think you could just get really, really creative with what you want to do or how you want to get Lemon moving in space. So I really like Lemon. And, you know, because he was a hyped up guy, and I try to approach each prospect when I go and start, because I'll watch these guys in the college football season. I'll kind of have my opinions, but then once the offseason starts and you start, really diving into the all 22 after the regular season ends, for the Jets, it's like I try to put my biases aside and just say, okay, objectively speaking, where do I see these guys, whether I like them or I don't, or they're playing for a team I like or I don't like. And Lemon was a guy who I'm like, man, I keep hearing his name. Everyone keeps typing him up. I don't see the blazing speed. I don't see this, this physical enforcing beast, like from he's going to truck over linebackers and like Omar Cooper, right? Omar Cooper has that physicality, like 100%. Run after catch type of physicality to his game. Lemon doesn't have it. So I'm watching, but over the court, like as I'm stacking games, it's like he does a really good job of just understanding what the defense is trying to do, finding soft spots.
Playmaker.
I see Jackson Smith and Jigba as a comparison, but the one player that he kind of reminds me of, man, is Calvin Ridley back with the Falcons.
Okay.
When those earlier days when Matt Ryan was there.
Yeah.
Not the biggest, not the fastest, but just knew how to get open based off of route running, based off of understanding what the defense is doing, and just overall smarts. Let me open up this door real quick. I can hear you, though, a few.
So now, based on everything you said, would you, if Mekhi Lemon's sitting there at 10, are you willing to trade up for him? Or are you saying, okay, Tate's gone, Lemon's gone, we're still good at 16? Like, where do you stand there? Is he a player worthy of trading up for?
Is Lemon worthy of trading up for?
Yep.
I guess it depends on how far he starts to fall. What range do you think?
Well, so say he falls to 10.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because you have the Dolphins there, you have the Rams at 13. The Ravens can certainly make a push, and also, man, Tampa, like Todd Bowles' seat is hot. They just lost Mike Evans. The Bucks have a lot of team needs, man. Like, I'm not saying that they would go with Lemon because of Igbuka and whatnot, and also Johnson, but I don't think I would trade up, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. So who is your wide receiver 3?
Tyson.
It is, man. Me too. Now, but then the question is, you have to be, but it's like, if he's there, do you think Tyson makes it to 16 or no?
What the deciding factor to me, like, I feel like I have a pretty good sense of the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bengals are a really interesting team. Like, I just can't pinpoint, like, okay, would Caleb Downs get past Cincinnati, or because it seems like Cincinnati is like really focusing in on corner. Like, corner is like the position that's being talked about the most with Cincy. But so you have the Dolphins sitting there at 11, and it's like, although they needed a wide receiver before the Waddle trade.
He did.
Now he's gone. It's like, dude, you brought Malik Willis and you're going to leave him out to dry. $67.5 million to throw to like practice. I don't know. I just don't like Miami obviously needs help at wide receiver. So it would make sense for them to go there. But it's like the thing I just keep coming back to, they're being ran by Green Bay Packers people, right? GM and head coach, Packers. That team is known for building from the inside out. We all kind of know it's going to be like a 3-year process. I could see Miami just saying, hey, you know what? Let's go with a really good offensive lineman, whether that's Vega Ione, whether that's Spencer Fano. They have the extra first-round pick. I think they have 7 picks in the top 100 or just something nuts. I mean, they have 3 third-round picks. They're picking right in front of us in the second round at 43. This class is deep with corners. They can say, let's go out and get the best the best offensive lineman on the board, because it's not really the deepest class for O linemen. They have a pretty big need at offensive line, specifically the interior. So I do feel like there's a chance that a wide receiver gets past Miami. And if that happens, I do feel like the Rams will take one. I don't know if they'll take Tyson or Lemon. They might. see the Rams might value Tyson over Lemon because Tyson you can kind of move around, and the Rams are so win now. It's like, okay, well, if Tyson is this crazy injury prone player, but he helps us get to he's ultra productive, kind of like their viewpoint with like who was it, like Odell Beckham, right? It was just like, we got to just bring in as much talent as humanly possible, as realistically possible, just to get us over the hump of winning a Super Bowl. Now ultimately OBJ ended up getting hurt, I think in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl or something, but I do feel like Tyson, again, when healthy, he's a better wide receiver than Lemon. And I think the Rams could be looking at him like, hey, we're not going to just funnel you the football and, rely on you so much. We have Puka, we have Devontae Adams, Stafford's a smart quarterback. We don't necessarily need to run you into the ground. So I feel like Tyson, to the Rams, his skill set matched with McVay, I do think that can make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It is not a lot of pressure either. Like if Tyson goes to the Jets, we're like, this guy's got to be a superstar. He's going to be number 2. He goes to Rams. He's just another guy. He's going to fit in with the room of all these stars. Be like, all right, just contribute, just be a playmaker. And then if he stays healthy, maybe you get an increased role year 2, year 3 down the line. The Rams is it's like a luxury item. Like, oh yeah, we'll put you in there and just see what happens. So that makes a lot of sense. So then do you have Omar Cooper Jr. as number 4?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you think that would he be in play at 16 or do you think he's gone?
No, I think he'd be in play at 16. I think the cool thing with Cooper is he's just so physical. And if you look at, I mean, with the NIL, you have all these transfers all over the place. I mean, whether you love it, whether you hate it, they're happening, right? These transfers are moving all around. But Omar Cooper was a four-year Indiana Hoosier. Right. So he was there from the beginning. So one thing that I feel like is just underrated with Cooper is he literally saw and was a part of, I mean, arguably one of the greatest turnarounds in college football history. He was there and a part of it. And yes, Mendoza's going 1. Yes, Indiana has a bunch of talent, but that to me just does not diminish what Omar Cooper did this past season. Like, just because they had Mendoza, I'm not looking at it like, oh, Mendoza just makes everyone amazing, so therefore we're going to diminish everyone around him.
They bailed him
out. No,
out.
Omar Cooper, man, he could. I mean, he could fly yards after catch, throw passes to him over the middle of the field. He's not just going to duck down and try to shy away from a hit from a linebacker. Good hands, dude. Strong hands. I think he has underrated athleticism, right? Like toe tapping his feet on the sidelines. I think Omar Cooper's definitely a fun player, and you can definitely make a lot of, sense if he's the pick at spot number 16. The Jets, I think, are way, way better with Cooper than without Cooper.
I agree.
But I do think I would take I still feel like I would take Lemon over Omar Cooper if we're talking like more like interior wide receivers.
So now at this, with Tate, Lemon, and Tyson going into 16 and Cooper's there, is that a scenario where do you think you have to jump like Baltimore or something? Or you could say, no, we could stand pat at 16. Baltimore's probably going to take Sadiq and we'll be cool with it. Like, do you get unsettled there, or do you think that that's...
Well, I'm not. I think you are a lot more pressed for a wide receiver at that pick. I'm not 100%. As like, that's my preference.
Right.
I think the Jets want to go wide receiver there, just trying to read the tea leaves. But if there's no wide receiver worth taking, I'm not like, oh my God, the draft's ruined.
Right.
Because the reality is too, man, like Juwan Jennings is out there. We're linked to Brian Thomas. We're linked to Rashad Bateman, right. Dontavian Wicks, all these guys. To me, like wide receiver, it's unpopular because it's unpopular to say because the wide receiver position just, it's such a flashy position. Everyone's favorite player, wide receiver, touchdowns, fantasy, jerseys, all that kind of stuff. But you kind of feel like they're just like a diamond. Like they I don't want to say they grow on trees, right? Because obviously the Jets have struggled to find them.
We have the trees,
but like, I mean, you just go through every single offseason. Like you just kind of feel like there's always one big name guy that's being traded away, and there's this new team that's bringing them on. whether it's like a massive trade or it's like just a couple mid-round. Like look at George Pickens for Dallas, dude. Like they got him for what, a third and a fifth or something. If you really want a wide receiver, like you can go out and make it happen. I mean, free agency, like these guys are getting paid. I mean, we were talking about it before free agency. Like there were so many different options. Yeah, and also too, man, next season, 3 first. I'm not saying let's just wait till next year.
Don't even start that nonsense.
I'm just saying.
No, we're not saying it. We're not even saying it. I'm not talking about next year for wide receiver. It's going to happen this year. I'm saving Geno's career this year. I'm going to save Aaron Glenn's job this year.
I'm not in a position where I'm going to sit here and take wide receiver 6 over corner 1.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that. No. I'm not, absolutely not. But I'm saying we have to find really good value. And if we have to be aggressive, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't want to sit here at pick 44. Oh, should we go wide receiver now? Like that's not the world I'm living in because we just know being Jet fans that Garrett Wilson gets banged up. Oh, there's nobody open. Here we go again. 7 points a week. So now at number 5, do you have KC Concepcion?
I do. Yeah, dude. Is our list the exact same?
I was going to. Okay, we'll see. What now? Concepcion. I know you love him. Now, are the drops fixable? Do you think it's the quarterback play? Is it like what is it that you can? Because dude, it's a significant problem. We're all world talent, but that's if he had half the drops he had, I think he's probably a number 3 wide receiver. But
the thing that just fires me up with KC, man, is just like the explosion. You just feel like there's so much torque when when I watch him like yards after the catch, right? When he catches like an in-breaker, like some small little thing right outside of, 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And he's just, he bends the corner and starts taking it upfield. Like that just translates. To me, that just translates so easily. And I think for me, man, like one thing, and I'm not downplaying the drops because drops are, they're obviously a concern, but it's fixable. We're not saying, he's 5'4" playing the position. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Or he's 135 pounds and that's it. Like, no, like, is there really, if he's the pick for any team and he comes out in the offseason and there's a story written, he's really focused on working on his hands, drops, working with a wide receiver coach, with his NFL team. He's getting tips and, help from his new teammates. And now he's better at catching the football. That's not impossible. I agree. I think we're just kind of, I don't want to say we're over analyzing because again, the drops are a pretty big, it's a highlighted issue with KC, but what draft prospect is perfect? Like that's true. Parsons had questions. Myles Garrett had questions. TJ Watt has.
Listen, I agree. But then it's just about nobody's perfect, but you want to get the proper value to it and not reach too far. Be like, oh, we're going to take him at 16. Like Arian Smith, like you're taking him here when he could have been undrafted. You have no idea. So it's like, well, KC Concepcion, like, is he the guy that you say he's more of a 16 guy, or if the board falls away, you say, at 16, we go guard or corner. And then at 33, we're saying we get Concepcion there, we're getting a home run. Is that kind of how you're looking at where his value is? Could he be a late first round, early second round, or you think he's in play earlier than that?
I think he's probably in play earlier than the second round. The problem is, man, there's a lot of teams in the 20s that need wide receivers, man. Like the Steelers at 21. Oh, man, like the Steelers at 21, the Browns, dude. 20, where are they at? 23, 24?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to go to Buffalo. I think Buffalo could maybe use another wideout, but I don't think he's maybe the best fit there with Khalil Shakir there. There's a couple teams that you could really Miami at the end of the first round right now that they own Denver's pick. I mean, if he's there at 30, like I could see that. New England, are they completely like, would that be something that they would, look into maybe if a ton of edge rushers and offensive linemen are gone? Like there's a lot of teams that you kind of feel like makes sense for KC. The good news, it's, we're pretty much just hoping, okay, just get out of the first. It's not like get out of the first and survive 10 picks, kind of like, last season with Mason Taylor where we're like waiting. Like second round hits, and it's like, this guy's even Warry's gone, and this guy's gone. It's like, no, as soon as you all the guys that don't make the first round are going to be right there for the Jets, right? So That's really the projection. Can he make it to pick number 33? You know, I think there's a chance. I do think there's a chance, but if you want to be safe, I think you would probably have to trade up. It really depends on how the wide receiver board falls. You know, if let's say Tate goes top 10, Rams go with one at 13.
Yep.
Maybe, I don't know, Baltimore goes with one at 14, or the Dolphins go with one at 11, and we get to pick 24 with the Browns, and or 21 with the Steelers, and they go Omar Cooper. And it's like, okay, KC. I mean, some people don't even have KC as that fifth guy, to be honest. But
yeah, that's true.
Like you're looking at, okay, well, now we have to hope that he doesn't go from pick 22 to 33. That's a pretty big jump where we're just crossing our fingers every single time, assuming we pass on wide receiver at 16.
Yeah, especially because the wide receiver free agent class wasn't vast where everybody's like, oh, we all filled our needs. It was kind of top heavy, and then everybody kind of filled in like Band-Aids saying, you know what, we got to find our answer in the draft. That's why I think there's going to be a run on wide receivers. We can't be sitting pat looking at it because you can get passed by. So Concepcion's kind of interesting. Where do you have Denzel Boston?
7.
Do you? Do you really? Who do you have at 6?
Brazel.
Really?
Yeah. Is that our first switch up here?
That's the 10. You're going with the Tennessee guy?
Yeah, dude. He just moved. He's tall. He's lanky. He's just my type of wide receiver. He almost looks like an ice skater out on the field, just kind of gliding around. I understand he doesn't run the full route tree, but he just feels very much like an NFL type of wide receiver, in my opinion. Who he kind of feels like he seems like one of these guys that, like, we all know he's good in college, right? But I don't think anybody's pounding their fists on the table, screaming like he's a first round pick.
No,
but he kind of feels like one of these guys that's going to end up with like this, like he's going to end up on a good team somewhere, like the Steelers, or like in the second round or something, and he's going to turn into like the next Smith Schuster or George Pick. Not saying that that's the comparison, but just like, oh, here's a wide receiver that everyone knew was good in college that isn't worth the first round pick, but he's going to go in round 2. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, same way, where they come off the board pretty early in that second round, and he gets to a good team, good landing spot, and he just takes off. I think Brazel, also, quick side note with him, practicing every single day, back-to-back years with Jermon McCoy and Colton Hood, 2 of the top corners. You listen to Colton Hood and McCoy talk about Brazel, just like, dude, this guy's next level. Like, and I understand like it's hyping up your teammate, but like these guys are SEC corners, and they're not talking about any other SEC players. They're talking about their own teammate and Chris Brazel as the toughest opponent that they've gone up against in practice, not even talking about in games. And I do think there is something to be, said about that. So I really like Brazel.
Second round, you're thinking?
Early set. I mean, let's just say Miami took him at 30. I wouldn't, if I was a Dolphin fan, I wouldn't be slamming my phone down saying, what are we doing? Like, I think I would take him late first. If he's on the board at 33, I would definitely consider it, man, if I'm the Jets, assuming we don't go, wide out at 16.
So now, what, in your opinion, what's the drop off from KC Concepcion? No, what's your drop off from KC Concepcion to Denzel Boston?
Sorry, I'm reading some of these.
Oh yeah, they're on
comments from Afram.
Afram's like he probably watched 2 highlights on YouTube, and now he's like his favorite player. But I'm like, to me, he's not a first round wide receiver. I'm just not high on him. But what's the drop off from Concepcion to Boston?
Drop off with what? Like the ranking or the play?
Yeah, like in terms of like player, like is it like a significant drop off or?
So for me, well, specifically for the Jets, like I kind of view Boston in the same role that I view Adonai Mitchell in, and I'm kind of like I don't want to throw in the towel with Adonai Mitchell and just say, okay, you're on the bench now. Like I'm excited about his upside, and I think with a lot of so you bring up KC, but you can make this argument with Lemon, you can make this argument with Omar Cooper, even Skylar Bell too from UConn. Like, I want Mitchell to be thrown I want the quarter. I want Geno to feature Mitchell. I want him to be like actually have a chance to be an impactful player. I don't want him to be like riding the bench and he's in there for 3 plays a game. So I think if we draft Denzel Boston, Adonai Mitchell's role might be a little. I don't think it's completely gone, because I think you'd probably just go Boston and Mitchell on the outside,
And you put Garrett,
Garrett on the inside.
Yeah.
But I just kind of feel like both players, to be honest with you, Adonai Mitchell's tape at Texas, in my opinion, was better than Denzel Boston at Washington. That's my personal preference, or my personal opinion. And I know there might be some that disagree. That's totally, totally fine. But Boston to me just doesn't scream game changer, doesn't scream, elite, really. I think he has a high floor. I think he's great in the red zone. I think Denzel Boston should probably wind up with a team like Philly or Buffalo, like a team that already has the quarterback and I think Boston makes a lot of sense for a lot of teams. But with the Jets specifically, I think we could it feels to me at least just a little redundant with Mitchell. But the Jets could view Mitchell as a bench player. And if that's the case, then just take Boston.
Boston only had 4 drops, dude. We saw that in 2 games with Adonai Mitchell. I think we saw it in 1 game with AD Mitchell, didn't we?
Well, difference between the college and the pros. So
now, at what point? So now we're at like number 7. At what point do you say we're getting to the point where make the trade for Brian Thomas Jr.? We're like, all right, the draft board's working out this way. We're getting to the 7th or 8th guy. Are we better off giving up the 44th pick and getting Brian Thomas Jr.? Where does the draft board kind of say, all right, this isn't really going the way we want it. We get better value going here. And
yeah, I mean, I think once you get past 33, if you pick at 2, 16, and 33, and we don't come away with a wide receiver, I think you're probably starting to think about it. But Brian Thomas, man, I really love the upside. I loved him back. I was one of his biggest fans when he was coming out of LSU. But I think the main question with Brian Thomas is, well, understanding what just happened this past season.
It's terrible.
Took a step back in catches, yards, touchdowns, even like other more, like advanced types of stats, like average depth of target, like stats are down across the board in a season where Jacksonville popped off on the offensive side of the football. Liam Cohen, a smart offensive mind who's coming in from the Rams, by the way. Gladstone coming in from the Rams. They're moving Travis Hunter back over to corner, or I shouldn't say back to corner, but primarily corner. So it's like you got to think, okay, well, where's like the volume going to go, right? And they already have Washington there. They just paid Jacoby Myers, but you would think like Brian Thomas, based off of what we saw his rookie year, LSU, the physical profile, he's controllable, he's cheap.
Yep.
Why would the Jaguars trade a smart offensive team, a very good team,
It's a red flag.
and they're trading a win now player for a 2nd round pick at wide receiver? It just makes you scratch your head and ask, what is going on here? With that said, Brian Thomas would come in and help this team. I think, obviously, I do think he'd be the 2nd best receiver on the team.
So what's the most you do want to give up from at this point? Are you like, if the draft board falls this way, we're at 33, you're like, man, we're not getting really the value we want. Are you saying give up 44 and get him, or do you want to give up less than that? Like, what's your max at this point?
Well, I mean, we really don't have it feels like 40. I don't think they would trade him for a 4th.
No, we don't have a 3rd. So
yeah, so it's really like 44, unless they love
idiot
like Sherwood. You know what I mean?
Does anybody love Sherwood?
Sala, maybe. But like, I mean, unless Jacksonville loves one of the players that we have and they're down to take like a 4th in that player. But I like Brian Thomas, but I'm not giving up 16. 33 is off the table as well.
Me too.
44 is the one. I mean, Connor Hughes talked a little bit about it. He threw out 44 in a 2027 pick. I'm like, no, I'm not giving up. 44 is like the max I would go, because if you go through like a mock draft simulator just on your own, you're watching someone else do it. When the Jets get on the clock at 44, like there's a bunch of good players. Now they're not proven, like Thomas showed that he could play at the NFL level. But if I'm the Jets, man, I think I would rather just draft your guy at 16, have that wide receiver under contract for 2 more seasons, right? Because it's a cheap, controllable 1st round type of contract. Keep 44, so you get your receiver and you keep 44. and you kind of eliminate the whole like, okay, why was Brian Thomas traded? Yeah, and also just for what it's worth, Jawan Jennings is still a free agent.
Yeah, he is.
Dude, you can go out and sign him and then just not even be worrying about this whole thing. I would rather sign Jennings than trade for Brian Thomas at this point.
I'm not sure Jennings would want to come here. That's the thing, though. Do you want to come to the rebuilding Jets with Geno Smith, Frank Reich, and I'm not sure. I think he's kind of probably playing out where he wants to go to a team that can win. He can get his money or get his stats to get more money next year. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I think the play is just draft a wide receiver.
Yep.
I mean, I think what should be said too, I think is, pretty clear is whether the Jets trade for Brian Thomas or they don't trade for Brian Thomas. I think we're walking away with a wide receiver in one way or another, and we are going to be a better team. I just don't want to be in a situation where we're giving up. Like if the Jets trade 44, I don't want teams around the league looking at the Jets like, dude, Jacksonville knows something that you don't, and you just gave up a premium pick for a wide receiver with coming off a downs. It would be one thing if maybe Thomas duplicated the touchdowns, catches in the same boat, but the yards were down. But dude, just down across the board for an off, and it's not like they have some defensive. Todd Bowles is the head coach, and
it seems like
there's no input. It's just like, oh, you don't know, Ferrari, with no key, right? Bugatti in the garage type of thing. You don't have anybody to throw to them. It's like, no, Jacksonville popped off and they were awesome all year.
It just seems like you're paying high with a guy coming off a low. You know what I mean? Like you're paying for the name and what you think, but right? It's like that you're buying high, and the guy's really not like it doesn't really equate. And then you look at everything you said. That's kind of where I'm at. Where the Jaguars are a team on the rise, where they're exploding. Innovative offensive mind, Trevor Lawrence coming into his own, all this excitement around the team, and you want to get rid of this kid. And you watch him play last year, it wasn't good at all. So it's like, all right, again, a lot of risk to me. Yeah, 44 is kind of pushing it. So, Gangry David, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for this. This might seem like a pipe dream, but if a team in the top 10 trades to 2, I'm taking the package and drafting Tate Lemon. Not saying I don't want Reese, but I really want playmakers more. If the team but what are they trading up for, though? That's the thing. Like we talked about this last couple of weeks, where it's like, all right, trade. Like if you offer me a good package to trade down, I have no problem doing it whatsoever. But who is the player? Is it a team trying to jump the Titans for Jeremiah Love? Does somebody really covet Arvell Reese or Bailey? I mean, who's the guy? And that's the problem. Like this isn't your prototypical draft where you have like, I want this quarterback or I want this wide receiver. There is no big name wide receiver. There is no big name quarterback minus Mendoza. There's no guy that everybody wants. And Love is kind of like a positional value of 2. Where you're like, all right, is he Barkley? Do you want to take that chance? I'm not so sure, man. I think you muted yourself.
Yeah, my bad. I think the whole thing with Jeremiah Love, which kind of sucks, is if you're trying to jump Tennessee, just go to 3 to Arizona. They're a young rebuilding team. Yeah. They want, extra draft picks in return. I just don't think they would say, okay, we, some random team out there, let's just, I don't know, the Giants, we desperately want Jeremiah Love. We have to jump Tennessee at 4. Let's just jump Arizona at 3 too. Because if you move to 3, just, common sense, it's probably going to cost you less.
Yep. Of course.
To 3 to 2. You know what I mean?
So now this is a really good question. Now, this is what I was going to ask you as well, because now we're getting to the point where we're at number 8, right? And then there's been rumors that the Jets were interested in Dontavian Wicks, Quentin Johnson. Where do you say, instead of going this route where it's like, all right, listen, we're probably 33, 44. The draft board isn't really falling away. At 16, we went guard. Do we say, let's go get Wicks instead? Would you go that route instead of drafting somebody, or would you try to do both? Like get Wicks and draft the kid?
I think if Wicks could be your wide receiver 3 or 4, or even Rashad Bateman being your 3 or 4, I think you're in a pretty good spot. Wicks is interesting though, man, because he's the one that actually feels pretty realistic with actually being traded. There was a report that came out, I think, from a Green Bay Packer beat reporter saying that teams are calling, and the Jets were one of the teams that called.
Yep.
I read a report yesterday saying that Miami was on the phone talking Dontavian Wicks. Again, they're a team that's being ran by former Packers, and Wicks is on a contract year, whereas Rashad Bateman, although coming off a freaking major down year, under 300 receiving yards, 12 games played, just took a huge step back from 2024. Bateman's under control through 2029. Wicks, okay, if you want to go out and bring him in, cool. I would be a big fan of that, but now you have to pay him.
That's the problem. But what would you think the compensation be to get Wicks? And like, if you look at the compensation for Wicks and you have to pay him, as opposed to the compensation for Brian Thomas Jr., which way would you lean?
I would lean Wicks.
I think I would too,
dude. Because Green Bay would. I mean, it kind of plays into the the whole weird Brian Thomas thing. It's like Brian Thomas to me is a better player than Dontavian Wicks. But if the Packers trade Wicks, we know it's because they're just stacked at wide receiver.
Yes.
Matt Golden, first round pick. Who else do they got? They have Reed, Christian Watson, Savion Williams for second going into, I believe, year 2 out of TCU. They just signed who was it, Sky Moore. So it's like you have a bunch of playable, and Matt LaFleur's offense has always been really balanced. They have Josh Jacobs there, so they want to run the ball.
Yep.
But who knows? I mean, they're a win now team, and you could have made that exact argument for trading Romeo Doubs last season.
Yep.
It's so many wide receivers, and then it was like, oh well, Christian Watson's hurt. Let's just hang on to Dobbs, and he has a good year, but now he's walking for nothing. So I don't know. But Dontavian Wicks isn't as good as Romeo Doubs, but I still like Wicks a lot.
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting, man. That's kind of another option too. If the board doesn't play out the way you want, like this kind of seems like. Do you think that kind of trade happens now or happens during the draft?
During the draft,
I think so too.
During the draft, yeah. To me, it just doesn't really. Dude, these second round picks, they're not going to decrease in value. Nope. So today's March 31st. Draft is when, like April 23rd or 4th or something. It's a little bit earlier this season, but like pick 33's value is the highest like at the end of the first round. Like as 25, 26, 27, like these teams are on the clock. The teams that are picking early too, Tennessee, Arizona, Giants, Raiders, they're looking at 30, like they're looking at the pool of candidates. And yes, it's shrinking pick by pick, but it's like, dude, every year someone is on the board that everyone's just like, dude, how is this guy? I mean, like last season, dude, like Donovan Ezeraku, great pass rusher for Dallas.
Yep.
Nick Emanwari for Seattle, dude. I mean, he's such a massive piece in the Super Bowl winning season. He was what, 35, 34 overall or something? It was great. Like every single Joey Porter was the 33rd overall pick from out of Penn State to Pittsburgh. Actually, the 33rd overall pick this season won Defensive Rookie of the Year, Carson Schlesinger. So, I'm not moving on from that pick at all. If I do move on from that pick, it's going to be on draft night for a haul or in a potential trade up where I'm moving up, a significant amount. I'm not moving, 33 to go up to 28,
So the question from Gray Alien 13 is, would you guys be up for Tate at 2 and Messidor at 16? Or would you rather trade up from 16 to 10 and get Reese and Lemon?
Oof. I think I would rather do the bottom one. But the question is, what would be that trade up? Although I do think that Cincinnati makes a lot of sense to trade down because of they just have so many, like you can make an argument for like, okay, let's say Cincinnati, we have the typical guys go off the board. Love, to quickly run through it. Mendoza, Reese, Mawanoa, Bailey, Jeremiah Love, Monroe Freeling, Carnell Tate,
Styles.
Ruben Bain, and Sonny Styles, right? Let's just say those guys are gone. So you're sitting there at pick number 10. Caleb Downs is on the board. Mekhi Lemon's on the board. Jordan Tyson's there. Mansour Delane is there. Jermon McCoy. If you're the Bengals and you want to slot back 16, slot back 6 spots, Jets come up, we go Lemon at 10, boom, locked at him. He wasn't in play for the Bengals anyway, whatever. And then Miami, again, offensive line, wide receiver, maybe a corner, right? So, okay, let's just say it's Delane. Ideally, it'd be Fano or something for Cincinnati, but let's just say it's Delane. Dallas at 12. Maybe they go with another corner. Maybe they go with Caleb Downs or something.
Yep.
The point is as like if Cincinnati wants to slot back 6 spots, they can go out and land someone that they could very well just draft at spot number 10 to begin with, and recoup something, sweet, because like you can't unless you're at like 11 or 12 to move into the top 10. It's going to cost you like what was the trade that Minnesota made with Minnesota? I think had to give us a 4th round pick to go from, what was it, 12 to 10?
I forget.
Or JJ McCarthy, and we moved, or was that 11 to 10? I don't even remember the exact trade, but it was the year that we came away with Olu and Minnesota came up for McCarthy. But we got a 4th round pick in return. And it was just like a simple slot back. It was like I think we moved back 1 spot. So yeah, but again, what's going to be that trade up? I'm definitely not going to give up 33 to move up to the top 10.
Yeah, I'm not opposed. I mean, it's something that's on the table. I think you can get creative with it, but I wouldn't go Tata too. So now we got, who do you have at number 8? Is he from Notre Dame
8,
by chance?
Jeremy Bernard.
Really? Okay.
Who's your number 8?
The complete opposite of him. I like Malachi. This is where I'm biased, though. Malachi Fields had a terrible combine too, which just broke all my dreams. But what round are we saying at this pick right here with Bernard or My World Fields, which is, I know everybody can rip me to shreds. Is this second roundish, late second, third round? You think?
You can argue Bernard. Like I guess like if you want to get like maybe a little bit more, more detail with it, like late round 2, early round 3, I think for Jeremy Bernard. Okay. I think he probably makes some sense for some of those teams like at the end of round 2.
So what is your evaluation of Malachi Fields?
A little clunky for me. I liked him at the Senior Bowl. But like during the season, he didn't really stand out to me. I didn't really, I wasn't walking away saying like this guy's going to be a potential game changer at the next level. And I don't know. I could be wrong. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah is very high on Malachi Fields. I think he's a top 50 player for him personally. And, Jeremiah has obviously been doing it way, way longer than me. So, who knows? But when I watch Fields, I just don't really see, I just feel like good possession wide receiver on the bottom section of the wide receiver depth chart.
So then how do you evaluate Bernard then? As playmaker, he's like a football player. He's just a playmaker.
Yeah, Bernard is kind of Bernard to me feels like a high floor player where I just kind of know what I'm going to get. Like Bernard kind of reminds me of Romeo Doubs, where he doesn't have like the crazy burner speed. He's not coming in at 6'6". He's not, jumping out of the gym doing these crazy things, but he just kind of makes the routine play. But I do like Bernard's ability to turn around and get upfield better than Malachi Fields. Okay. I like Fields. And I still feel like he's probably a 3rd rounder, probably 3rd round pick.
I'm thinking so.
But I just wish he was, from an athletic standpoint, I just wish he was a little bit more maybe nimble, faster down the field, more lightning type of, I don't want to just say, oh, everyone has to be on, Casey Concepcion's level as far as just, immediate like electric burst. Yeah. But yeah, for Fields, just a little clunky for me. Would be my knock.
Bastard. So, I gotta find a way to get a Notre Dame guy on this team, dude. I'm trying for years. It just never happens for me. The number 9, who do you have?
Skylar Bell from UConn.
Figured, yeah, that's where I keep watching K dudes like that. That's why I was funny. Where K dude,
yeah, he's high on him.
So now this is Kate. This is all about speed. You're talking what, 3rd round here as well, or is this maybe 4th round?
3rd round for me.
Really?
Yeah. Do it all type of guy.
What? Good. No good.
Yeah, no, just do it all type of guy. But one of the things that I love about Bell was he's so damn productive. Like everyone knew he's going to be getting the football. He just could not be stopped. And UConn's schedule is a little strange, right? Because they're independent, but so it's not like they're playing the same coaches every. They're not in a conference, right? So they're not, it's not a situation like, well, you know what? Scratch that, because all these if you are in a conference, you have so many transfers coming in anyway. So I mean, with Bell, it's just I felt like one good indicator of college to NFL success, like to make that jump. Again, if you have the athletic profile, if you have good film and you project well, but if you are a featured player in an offense week after week after week after week, no matter who you're playing against, bad weather, good weather, day game, night game, rivalry, great team, bad team, whatever, and they just cannot slow you down. And this is from a year to year thing. That to me translates. That to me is not some, because anybody that has like D1 athletic ability can go out and have a great game.
Yeah.
You can have a good month, but you kind of see some guys, come back in, they fall off. Some guys maybe start slow and then pop late. I mean, dude, Skylar Bell was just consistent. You knew what you were going to get. Defenses knew he was getting the football and still could not stop him. You can play him on the outside or on the inside. Good security blanket for their quarterback, Joe Fagnano. So, yeah, I like Skylar Bell.
So now, number 10. Now, this pick is, now we're talking, this is most likely fourth round, you would think? Or no, we're still late third round?
Fourth. Yeah, I go fourth.
Who do you have at 10?
I got Ted Hurst from Georgia State.
You know what's funny? I had to start, because I was listening to a podcast. It was Ross Tucker where Greg Cosell, and Greg Cosell was raving about him. I'm like,
really? Was he?
Yeah. I'm like, Georgia State? What? I'm like, what the hell is this? I started doing a lot of research on him, and I'm like, I had no idea who he was till probably like 2 days ago. I just listening because they were doing all those wide receiver evaluations. I like Greg Cosell a lot.
Send it to me.
It's really good. He was like, you know what? This isn't a popular take, but this kid is legit. I'm like, what? And he raved about him, dude. I was completely surprised.
Yeah, dude. Speed, size, production.
He's like 6'4", 206.
Had some
He's
drops,
a big kid. Yeah.
Had some drops though this past season. But yeah, I had a buddy who texted me right before the Senior Bowl. He's just like, dude, he's like, yo, I watched your Senior Bowl video. Be on the lookout for Ted Hurst. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do some stuff. But at the Senior Bowl, man, I felt like he was pretty impressive. Longer limbed type of guy, but has speed. And I love the small school guys, man, because the small school guys, like it's an uphill battle. Like nothing's really guaranteed for them at the NFL level. And you just kind of feel like that work ethic is there. Like, they're not going to be taking plays off and, screwing other people over, or throwing teammates or coaches under the bus, or not taking it seriously. Like, no, it's all hands on deck. Like, again, like the opportunities, like they're few and far between for the smaller school players. So I just like that, maybe the mentality coming in.
Now, a player, like I had a couple of guys, like just honorable mention guys, I kind of want you to get your take on. What are your thoughts on Chris Bell? Now, I understand he's coming off an ACL, so I got that. But do you see that as a kid, like, you know what? Is that a 4th or 5th round flyer? Like, what do you think happens with him?
See, I think so. I have 2 landing spots for Chris Bell. Well, 3, I guess. The popular one that I always see is the Saints because of the Tyler Shuck connection. Yeah. And supposedly Tyler Shuck is like making a big case for him. Your guy, Tyler.
My guy, Tyler Shuck, should be a Jet.
Miami, because Miami just has so many draft picks, and they're not, because the word is that if Chris Bell was healthy, he'd be a first rounder. But I believe is dealing with the ACL. He's coming back from that, and he's going to miss a lot of time. I think the scheduled month that he's supposed to come back and be 100% healthy is November. So, if you're a team in the Dolphins, you have all these picks and a major need at wide receiver. Yep. It's a good value play to just wait and maybe just take a guy in Chris Bell and like kind of look at it like, okay, well, we're not really going to be all that competitive anyway. Let's buy low on a Chris Bell, and when he's healthy, we're essentially getting like another first round graded out prospect, in this year's class, at least in whatever round 3 or something like that. And then the Eagles, I think, are another one, right? If they want to keep AJ Brown and they want to maybe flip him at the deadline, that's kind of right around the time that Chris Bell is going to be coming back, and he can kind of step it. Not saying he's going to be AJ Brown or anything, but if Philly wants to maybe, because Philly doesn't have a lot of needs, man, tackle, safety. If they go maybe like Emmanuel McNeil Warren or something, or Thieneman drops to them or something like that, or they want to go with a right tackle, Blake Miller or somebody, and then they come back. Like, I think the Eagles are a good spot to move back if the Cardinals want to come up and trade up for Simpson.
I could definitely see that. Another guy, what about Branch from Georgia?
I'm not the biggest fan.
No, why? Too small?
He maybe a little biased with the whole Corley thing, but just and I get right, like the yards after catch and throw him a screen and just watch him get upfield. But yeah, I mean he was at USC before Georgia. And although like he checks out from like just like agility, quickness, in and out, again, throw him a screen and he can just take it upfield really quick. Like I think there's a role for Zachariah Branch, but I don't think the role should be with the Jets. I think with Branch, you're probably gonna have to get to a team with a creative offensive mind that he doesn't have to come in to be the 1, 2, or 3. He can kind of be that fourth, like not necessarily gadget type of player, but kind of a gadget player. You can just get creative with it. I don't think he's a guy where he could just walk into an NFL locker room and just, he's the wide receiver 2 or something, and every offensive system he just fits. Like he feels very like a niche type of player.
What about my last one for you from Oklahoma, Deion Burks?
I haven't really done too much work on Deion Burks. I do. So the player that I had at pick number 11 was Jacoby Lane from USC.
Yep, I saw that
too. Dude, catching the football, I love. Just the box out ability, the red zone threat. I really like Jacoby Lane. And there's a lot of smoke, by the way, with the Jets in Lane. They're doing a lot. Yeah, they're doing a lot of meetings. They've met with him multiple times so far. But the blocking is just terrible with Jacoby Lane. Like because there's questions about effort. Like there were moments where like he would like initiate the plays going one way, and he would block and he would just stop, like he just disengaged, and then that player would run halfway across the field and go make the tackle. And it's just like, dude, just continue the block. But the blocking, which is why I think that Lane is probably going to go on day 3. Even though the catching is really good, man, like him, running routes, like I think Jacoby Lane could really play, but it's just like the whole blocking aspect,
doesn't sound like an Aaron Glenn kind of guy.
Yeah, that's true, but I would say that is controllable.
Effort, you have to have a passion for the game, and you have to have a heart. You've got to want to be there and compete. The Jets are all about competing and changing your culture. It doesn't actually fit that mold.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't believe we did an hour and 12 minutes talking wide receivers. Can you believe that?
Crazy, man. Crazy.
We came up with no answers.
I think our lists were pretty solid. We had a lot. We were our top 5 was exactly the same, I think.
Yeah. But it's interesting because you watch all these different analysts like that. Like I like watching Steve Smith and all these, and Chris Sims always throws some wild stuff out there. You're like, all right, what is all this? Connor Rogers, all this. But it just seems like this draft class seems very specific to the team. What are you looking for to fit your offense? It's not like there's 4 elite wide receivers everybody wants. It's kind of like you got to pick your flavor here. Like what's your flavor? Go get it, because everybody varies at this point.
Totally. What did you want to do a different positional group in next week's stream? Well,
let's see. Taking serious analysis out of it. I for one shocked that Tyson isn't on, just because listen, man, I have integrity, Javid. I cannot just campaign for Tyson, and I just know that they'll get him, bring my name to the Jets, and he'll get hurt like in training camp and be out for the year, and I'll just hate him even more. So can't do it. What position you want to do? Because you figure, what's that?
You carry a dark cloud, is what you're saying.
I feel like the Jets carry a dark cloud. They do. They'll be the only team, like they know the guy's injury prone. He'll get injured. That'll be like, well, you knew what you got, and you got him. What position would you want to do? Because we covered. Do you want to do quarterbacks, dude? Do you want to go into this sewer pit of quarterbacks?
I mean, that kind of just feel. I mean, we know one, we know number 2, so it really just kind of feels. And what's interesting about the quarterbacks is you kind of just feel like whatever that. I mean, I guess it would be fun. Maybe we could do 2 positions next week, and also like top 10 quarterbacks might feel a little, a little much. The kickers, yeah, kickers and punters, and we could throw long snappers in there too.
That's right. Oh my goodness. Now the only question I had for you, I was going back to this too, is Sadiq with this is interesting because a lot of people are like, well, if these 3 guys are gone, go there. based on your top 5 list, how many of these guys have to be gone for you to consider Sadiq?
I mean, considering like I would consider him right now. But I would probably have to say the top 5.
Really? So you have to say Tate, Lemon, Tyson, Cooper, and KC Concepcion got to be gone before you take Sadiq?
I think so, yeah.
You're cold-hearted, man. That is cold-hearted.
Dude, I like Sadiq, man, but I just kind of feel like, tight ends, they're just easier to find.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the list now. Like I don't like if the Jets took KC Concepcion at 16, I think I'd probably be like equally as but it's not to say that Sadiq would be a bad pick. Like I would say if we walked away with Carnell Tate or Mekhi Lemon, I would be pumped, like absolutely thrilled. If we walk away with Jordan Tyson, Omar Cooper, KC, or Kenyon Sadiq, I'm gonna be really happy.
Right.
Maybe not as pumped as if Carnell fell or Lemon fell, but I'm still gonna be walking away saying, okay, realistically speaking, like we landed a really, really good offensive piece. But then for the rest of the guys, Chris Brazzell, Boston, Jeremy Bernard, Bell, those are all, to me, that's all day 2. That's not 16.
So the question from Armand is Sadiq or Tyson at 16?
I think the Jets would probably go Tyson.
I think they would too. Especially the way that Aaron Glenn was talking about Mason Taylor today, like opening up the offense, taking a big step in year 2. And I'm like, the more Aaron Glenn talked about Mason Taylor, kind of hinted about it, I'm like, yeah, this dream is dead. Unless it could be a smoke dream, but I don't think so. I think they honestly believe it.
Yeah, I mean, you can also make an argument that Sadiq doesn't get to the Jets at 16.
Yep,
I mean,
that's
the Bucks,
kind of
dude,
too.
The Bucks and the Ravens, I feel like are
Yep.
the two teams.
No, I agree. So next week, what positions do you want to do? Kickers and long snappers?
We could do punters, kickers, and long snappers.
We got a punter.
We could do corner.
Corner's a good one.
Corner's an interesting one because there's a lot of corner feels a lot like wide receiver where there's like a lot of names that people like, but the rankings are a lot different.
Yep.
Well,
corner is interesting because it could be in play based on the way the draft board breaks out. Look at what we dealt with last week in our mock draft, dude. Corner could definitely be on the table.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I mean, I think you could probably go top 3 corners in this class would come in and be the best corner on the team.
Yep. Okay, let's do corner.
Okay. Yeah, we could do corner and safety.
Caleb Downs at 16. What are we doing here? It's a silly.
I'll send you the mock, dude. I'll send you the mock.
It's ridiculous. Well, I mean, that was fun, dude. An hour and 17 minutes of corners and safeties. And we got to get kickers. We got to do kickers, man. We got to analyze kickers. It's a need. Aaron Glenn admitted it was a need. So we got to discuss those.
Dude, I was watching a head coach at the college level. I forget who it was. He was literally in a press conference, and the team was losing games because of their kicker, and they were like grilling the coach. It was during the season. They're like, "What is going on? Like, what is happening?" Like the reporter was asking for like specific questions with like what was going on with the kicker, and the coach, man, I forget who it was. He was just like, he's like, dude, I got to be honest with you. I have no idea. I don't. He's like, I understand other positions, but kicker, it's just not my wheelhouse. I don't understand it at all. You're gonna have to ask someone else. I'm like, oh, okay.
The only thing you know is when they lose it big. So you got to get ahead of it. Like we knew Zerline lost it, but nobody wanted to admit it, and we decided to go down that path. But when kickers are off, dude, just abandon ship. It's not coming back. Get out, move on, because it's like a relief pitcher. Once they lose their fastball, they lose the zone. Cooked. So
well, Folk had the best season of his career last year from an efficiency standpoint.
Worked out well for the Jets this year, huh? Pinch and pennies.
We'll see. We'll see what happens though this coming year.
So thank you guys for joining us. Definitely appreciate it. So next week, we're another week closer to draft, thankfully, because this has been a painful process. We'll talk corners, we'll talk safeties, we'll talk Andre Cisco, Ian's favorite player, and then that'll be it. So thank you guys for joining us. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Aaron Glenn press conference. Don't get mad about things. Life is too short. And we'll talk to you later.
J-E-T-S,